results of our ignorant actions. It's all man-made. And the depth and the breadth of the imbalance at the macrocosm level is a mirror effect of the imbalance we experience at the microcosm level. Because we are immersed in the fire of the three poisons, and yet we do not know how or want to escape. So, as Master said, ignorance confuses us, causes us to be deluded and commit to very heavy karma, bringing sufferings for the self and collectively causing huge disasters to the world. And yet we are still not awakened. And she said, this is why we are trapped by our karma life after life, living life without our control. But one thing for sure, for most of us, we carry a heavier bag of karmic seeds in each new life. And all because of our ignorance, which give rise to greed and then anger and rage. And when we don't know, and we yet we want things and we can't be satisfied. So ignorance pushes us off track, clouding our good intent by the fire of the three poisons. But there is hope because we are all innately good. So Buddha came to show us the escape route to return to our innate nature of true suchness. And by practicing loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, we can all find our way back. And with collective good, we can nurse the world back to health. And actually, we saw how, the recent forced lockdown helped clear pollution in just a very short period of time. So we just need spiritual guidance, like the psychologists say, which can help us to relate the principles to things in current society, things around us, and just like what Master is doing for us now, telling us stories to relate the principles to our daily life. So that is why we often say Buddha, Dharma is a way of life, and Buddha has lived that by example. And Tzu Chi volunteers too are showing great example with selfless action in the Philippines, giving selflessly, meticulously, and comprehensively, taking care of the victim's body and mind. And they show us how actually to engage in spiritual practice, practicing the threefold kindness in speech, body, and mind, and do not be overcome by the three poisons. So, as Master said, our hearts and minds must be in sync. And that is why bodhisattvas go into the darkest corners of the world, using the power of love to help all sentient beings. And turn the Dharma wheel often to transform the mindset of greed to abundance, to unlock the spiritual wealth within. So hopefully we can turn people from pumps up to pumps down. And if we can do all that, we have a chance to come and go at ease, come when we want to, and leave when it is time. That's what I have. Thank you.
Yeah, Gan En so much. It's truly joyful to your sharing great insights. Gan En so much. Okay, over to you, Brother Chin.
Morning.
Morning.
Right, today, so we're still in this burning house, and we have got a legacy out of the house, riding on the cart. And so yesterday was about the four states, and that's life and how short life is. So life does not last forever, and so does death. Death doesn't last forever either. So we are in this where we are, then with this short span of life that we have, and with this short span, there are a lot of imbalances we have to deal with. Imbalances of the four elements, and at the same time, things that come before us in our life becomings the condition that we face. We have to deal with it because a lot of things are beyond our control. And the only thing that follows up life at the end of life is actually our karma, and that follows after death. As I mentioned earlier, death does not last forever either. So when this rebirth, the karma will come along with us. And so therefore, the Buddha has taught us and guided us by example by taking human life form. So very quickly on Master's explanation and the 4 elements that you're all familiar with, and obviously when imbalances result in changes on the climate, disaster, and so on and so forth. Same goes with our body in the 4 elements. In the process of all this change, there's a lot of mental anguish that the mind will have to go through, and some people may not be able to take that. And that's because of the mental anguish from loss or suffering of the loved ones. And therefore, the state of mind is such, our thoughts arise from one after another. I'm not sure whether you actually spend time observing your own thoughts, but if you do, you will understand your arising of your thoughts, and how whether thoughts is wholesome, unwholesome, or otherwise. But that is important to understand, because that thoughts makes who you are and what you will be. So a single thought of greed leads to evil, and a single thought of goodness will lead to benefit everyone. And so therefore it can be good, it can be bad. But what is good may not be necessarily wholesome, and what is bad may not necessarily be unwholesome. So one got to discern with wisdom as to what the thoughts that arises are going to be, because sometimes a thought that may be bad is for you to realize and for you to change. But so therefore, it's the same thing with light becomings that come to us. And so light becomings, there's no good or bad. It's for you to learn. So therefore, the other thought that arises, they are in the state of mind, because the thought will generate speech, it will generate action. So therefore, if it is good, you get a 3-fold kindness. If it is bad, then you get 3 poisons. So in these 3 poisons that we face, and I like this line. First time I heard of it, maybe probably a Chinese saying, I think. Okay, the greed means insatiably grasping all favorable condition. Now this line here, having one we lack nine, sounds like a Chinese saying, and it's very, very, I think it's a very wise saying. So one lacks 9, because if you have 10,000, you are lacking 90,000. You have 1 billion, you lack 9 billion, and so on and so forth. So we're never satisfied. And that is this anger, the losing of temper. I'm sure some of you may have encountered people who flare up very easily. And even with someone with a lot of Dharma knowledge, I've seen some of these people. And these are some of the affliction that people they have to deal with. And that's the reason why I keep emphasizing quite often is that unless one grows in consciousness, it's very difficult to progress in your practice. It's only when the consciousness grows that your character can change. So the last poison of the 3 is ignorance. Ignorance is when we're confused over matters and principles, and that's giving rise to delusion, and then causing a negative karma. And this can be easily happen when it's being enticed by external phenomena or the conditions or the changing state of conditions, and they don't know what they are doing, and that result in actions which are unwholesome. So quickly, the lessons learned. So the lack of clarity and understanding leads to all deviant conduct, and that's why in a Noble Eightfold Path, you've got to start with the right understanding first. And after, even when we are in practice, we have to face our body, speech, and mind, and they can obstruct us in our practice. And sometimes they obstruct in ways that we don't even know they're obstructing us. And you can see when someone does not even acknowledge the shortcomings of one's character. That's the reason why, unless the consciousness grows, one does not realize the shortcomings of the character. And so this poison hinders our progress, and that's why it's called poison. And because we need to transcend from the world. If we clearly understand the principle, then we will always be at ease. So we will not be afflicted by the conditions that we face. So, and if we are coming to the world to save people, we will not fear both aging, sickness, and death. And these are obviously one who understands the life and death very well, and obviously one who has transcended the world, and this called transcending wisdom, and is way above the mind consciousness and beyond the intellect of the mind. So on contemplation, today is a little bit long, so I spread it over 2 pages, but I want to illustrate the point about balances and imbalances. Being in harmony is about learning to live life in accord with the balance of elements, as well in imbalance of things. So the balance of elements is easy to understand, but what about the imbalance of things? Is it imbalance of things? We cannot, it's uncontrollable. And sometimes conditions happen, conditions change. And because of the imbalances of elements that we come across, people, whether it's people, matters, or objects. And these are life becomings that come to us. And so we got to learn from all this. So such is skillful living. So when you learn and accept this, and you know what to do, and you know how to apply the Dharma in your daily life, that is skillful living. So living skillfully enables you to understand and realize the wisdom of applying the teachings in your daily life. The fundamental skill is, so this skillful living, so the fundamental skill is the foundation of virtues. So if you have the foundation of virtues, what it means is that you have the interest of others in your heart. You do not grasp onto your self-cherishing views. You do not grasp onto your self-interest. So when you do that, then what then happens is, with the skills of growing in virtues, the mind discerns the essence of the teachings, right? Because the important thing, but remember that the 3 things that Buddha have taught, in all these things that Master have already mentioned in the past: stop doing evil, do only good, purify the mind. Okay, so if we understand that, then we know that the growing virtues, then you understand the teachings to purify the mind. So without laying the virtuous foundation, one cannot even begin to understand what wisdom life is, because one is still grasping on the self-interest and self-cherishing thoughts. So if one grabs on the self-cherishing thoughts, grabs onto one's will, how can wisdom arise? So the virtues are the practice of learning beyond the self of things. And that's what we need to grow towards. So in this absence of self, you learn beyond your mind. Because wisdom transcends. You want transcending wisdom, it has to transcend beyond your mind. So wisdom is beyond the thoughts. On relationship, I'm not sure whether I've shared with you this before, but it's relevant to this one, to today's teaching. When one has understood well the true purpose of life and practiced well, the balance between life of a householder and spiritual practice can be reached. It is that balance, the harmony in your practice can be found. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Gan En, so much, Brother Chin, for your so profound and insightful sharing here. Okay, again.